Good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday. This is Swedish Jeff 2024. I hope that everybody is doing well and has had a great week. I apologize for being MIA here for a few days. I have been on vacation or on holiday, as they say in England, or at least they used to say it. I don't know if they still do. So somebody had asked me in one of the comments about a week or so ago if I could do a demo for APBA football. I don't really have time today to do a full-scale demo, but I wanted to give a couple helpful hints and suggestions. So when I fill out the score sheet here, this is the actual score sheet which comes from the APBA website, APBA Games. What I do when I'm doing a season replay is I go to profootballreference.com, or footballreference.com, excuse me, and I go back to the box scores of the actual games and I get the starting lineups. And I want to make sure that I have all the players on the roster. So I'll go through all the different cards and see that I have the players that are in that particular game. And I fill out the lineups on the score sheets. And you can use the rule book for APBA, and it'll tell you what positions the players play. And for example, the kick returners and the punt returners, what I'll usually do is find the actual kick returners and punt returners from those real life games, and I'll pick the 2 or 3 that were involved, like maybe have number 1, number 2, who got the most returns for that game. And what I'll do is I'll add up the offensive index and the defensive index to see how many points the offense and defense got. And you can use this chart here, which is the alternative defensive chart, to determine how the defense will call the plays. Let me show you that again here. And this is, I believe, what's also called the Fletcher chart, named after Scott Fletcher. That's one way you can do it. Or you can use these cards here. And let me show you these. These are something that you have to get separately. They're pretty cheap to get. And these are the defensive play calling cards. So for example, let's just say you're playing the New England Patriots from 1985 versus the Chicago Bears, and you want to replay the Super Bowl. What you'll do is you'll add up all the points for the Patriots on their offense, and then the Chicago Bears on their defense. And you'll take the difference between the offense and the defense. Like, let's just say that the Bears defense adds up to 50, and the Patriots adds up to 25. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just use that for an example. So what you would do is you take this card here, the plus 25, which is the difference in terms of points. So this will be the Chicago Bears defense. So when you're playing New England and you call play and you roll the dice and it comes out to CS, if you have an A receiver, it's going to be a BS. It's going to bump it up from a C to a B. But if you look at this card here, a lot of C's. Thankfully, this is not like my report cards for most of my school year. This probably would have been my math grades for most of my high school years right here. A lot of C's. And I'm not proud of that. I hated math when I was younger. It's interesting because the older I've gotten, I'm intrigued by math, and now I'm fascinated by it. Like, oh, I want to learn more about it. But C is the best. You have A, B, and C. A is the worst, B is average, middle, and C is the best. So when you have a defensive card that has a lot of C's on it, that indicates that you've got an excellent defense that you're going to be either playing for or against. I apologize for the noise in the background. I am doing laundry, trying to get caught up here before I head back to work on Monday. Anyway, that's the defensive play calling cards. And you can use that when you're calling plays, when you're especially playing solitaire. If you're doing head-to-head, I don't think you would need that. Another thing that I do, this is a little feature that I've added as kind of a homebrew thing, is I take this 12-sided die, excuse me. And I don't even remember where I got this. I think that many years ago, I brought it in for a team building game at work. But when you're playing APBA football, how do you determine who gets a sack? What I do is I roll the dice and see it comes out to 11 here. There we go, got an 11. So what I do is I look at the defensive chart here, and I see who 11 is. So in that case, it would be the free safety. So the free safety, whoever that is, would get the credit for the sack. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, it's a 12-sided die. What happens if it lands on a 12? Because there are only 11 defensive players on the field and 11 offensive players on the field. What happens if it lands on a 12? Great question. Then I will give the sack to whoever recorded the most sacks for that year. So, for example, let's just say it's Mike Singletary on the 85 Bears. If I roll a 12 and Singletary had the most sacks, Mike Singletary gets credit. Likewise, if it's Lawrence Taylor, who had the most sacks for the 86 Giants, and I'm using this for example, I'm not sure if he had the most sacks, I'm guessing he did, then LT will get the sack. And that's basically how I record the sack. This is just my little addition to the game, very small, minuscule addition to the game here. So these are just a few tips and tricks here with APBA football. The next game I'm going to play is the Oakland Raiders of 81 versus the Denver Broncos of 81. And this is the defending champion, Super Bowl champion Oakland Raiders from 1980 playing in 81. They actually finished 7-9 in real life in 1981, so they didn't even make the playoffs. And it'll be interesting because I just played the Philadelphia Eagles, who absolutely manhandled the New York Giants 30-7. So it'll be interesting to see how Oakland. You know what? While we have a few minutes, why don't we go ahead and go through the cards? So straight up off the bat here, we have Mark Wilson, who I believe is the quarterback. Let me pull him back up again. He is a 2. This is the last year that the Oakland Raiders were in Oakland. Next year they moved to Los Angeles. And I want to see Plunkett here. Where is Jim Plunkett? Here's Plunkett. He is a 2 as well. So they've got a pretty good team for a team that finished 7-9. They got Kenny King, Cliff Branch, Art Shell, John Matuzak, the 2s. Matt Millen, I think that was his first year as a rookie. A lot of guys on that team, a lot of famous, iconic names. So I will be playing the Oakland Raiders. I'm not going to do a stream yet. That is something I would like to do in the future. I might do like a Monday Night Football stream, and I think that would be fun to do that sometime on the channel. The thing is, I would like to do like one quarter, because if you do a full game, that's like 3 or 4 hours, And sometimes I wonder, like, after 3 or 4 minutes, do people kind of have their eyes glazed over, like, okay, that's enough for me. But I'll try to keep it interesting. I'll definitely try to keep it fresh. So for the Denver Broncos, it's Craig Morton, who's their quarterback. He's a 3. He wore number 7, which was also worn by John Elway. And some of these names I recognize here. Rick Upchurch. Sounds familiar. We got him on there. Here's a guy that you might... Now I sound like Chris Collier. Here's a guy, who played on the defense and was a pretty good player. Tom Jackson. I wonder if he's in here. I think he is. Where are you at, Tom? Where are you now? There you are. There he is, Tom Jackson, formerly of ESPN, and outside linebacker. He is rated a 4. Went to college at Louisville. Nice. So it is so cool to look at these cards and see some of these names from the past. And as I've said before, it's not living in the past, it's honoring the past. So I hope that this helps. And I will try to do more helpful hints for not just the football game, but for the baseball game. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, please leave them in the comments. I try not to be monotonous like a lot of click like and subscribe and, click that like button. It almost sounds as ubiquitous as, remember back in the old days, it used to be, don't touch that dial. You're aging yourself when you say that. Don't touch that dial. Like I'm thinking there's like a whole generation that's like, what the hell are you talking about? But remember that? There used to be the TV shows. They usually saw that on like Saturday morning cartoons. They would come on and say, hey, don't touch that dial. After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah, I know. I show my age, not just because of the way I look, but, the pop culture references. And I don't know about you, but you really show your age when you start referencing things that some people are just kind of like, or like when you're watching the MTV Music Awards and and I watched it. And it's so funny. When I was younger, I swore, I said, I'm going to be a hip old guy. I'm not going to be the unhip, because we had these people that came to our high school that tried to act like that they knew what we were like. So I guess that you guys are really into Madonna and Michael Jackson. Yeah, some of us are, but they like made these assumptions of, what we were into. And I swore, I said, my God, I'm not going to be like that. When I get to be in my 30s and 40s and even 50s, I'm going to be the hip guy. I'm going to be, happening, and I'm going to know what's going on. And of course, that didn't happen at all, because I watched the MTV Music Awards and I'm going, I don't know any of these people. I have no idea. I'll watch Jeopardy and they'll have the music categories and I just immediately go, oh no, I'm not going to know any of these. And they'll start pulling out names, and I might recognize maybe one or two. Okay, I know who that is, but isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Anyway, sorry I took so long, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and following. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon.